Yay!
It's so good.
Yay! So I like the song that makes me feel real spooky. No, so I, unlike you, didn't have a great connection with music growing up. I had a closer connection with TV.
Okay.
And one of the first shows like I took ownership of really liking was the X-Files.
Okay.
And the X-Files, I wasn't really allowed to like buy a lot of music growing up, and I didn't really have any knowledge of like what was out there. Like I really didn't even know who Kurt Cobain was until I was older. Even though like all my friends around me were like, you know, Kurt Cobain just killed himself. It's 1994 and I'm like 11 and I should have some kind of cultural awareness of what was going on, and I just didn't have that.
Is he in the presidency of the United States? Because that's the only band I listen to.
Right? Like I liked Green Day and that was about it. And that was like, I was like, that's like pretty culturally wide, all right? And I liked Enya because my mom liked it. And then I started watching X-Files. And my mom, I think my mom or my dad, one of them, which I was surprised they actually got me the X-Files soundtrack. And it had Frenzy by Screamin' Jay Hawkins on it. And I remember telling my dad about it. And my dad was really into Tom Waits at the time. And he was like, oh, you like that? Check this song out. And played I Put a Spell on You for me. Because we used to drive back and forth between where my mom lived and my dad lived because they were split up. And we had long drives. So dad would like put tapes on. And that was pretty much what I knew of music, was whatever dad had on for tapes. So, excuse me. But, and now as I've grown up, it's like I see it a lot more culturally, and you know, I don't want to say I have a metaphysical side because I don't think I do.
Kind of feel like you do.
Kinda, but I don't know. I
like how you relate to things.
Oh, I do metaphysically relate to things. That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I very much enjoy like the witchy aesthetic, and it's connected with me for a really long time. So I felt this song was a good representation of that part of me.
Yeah. When you gave me your list and that was the first thing I saw, and I went like, oh, of course.
Of course.
That makes every kind of sense.
I gotta tell you, nothing on your list made sense to me. When you were like, here's my list, and I was like, okay,
this will be fun then.
I don't see it, but okay.
You do have a couple picks that like I'm only somewhat familiar with, and am excited to see what you have to say to help me make sense of it. I did want to talk about this song a little bit. My connection is similar.
Yeah.
In that, and it wasn't so much that my sister and I were like barred from buying any music growing up, but like there was an understanding in the household. Like,
right.
If you buy things if you listen to music that is not like part of what we believe, then we're going to have a conversation about it. And no one wanted to have that conversation. So we pretty much kept it clean. Like maybe the Backstreet Boys were okay.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, like things needed to be within the like Christian realm of music.
Right.
And even when I got to listen to punk bands, like I had to sell it that these were punk bands of our faith. So there were a couple of record labels that were okay for the most part. And I had to like, on some level, make that case. The exception to any of that growing up was oldie stations. So that was where I really got my hooks in, like outside of faith music. Like, oh man, like there's all kinds of different flavors outside of this little bubble that I'm in.
Interesting.
And that song in particular, I think, really stood out to me as a kid too. So it's always nice seeing that. I'll also comment on the instrumentation. I kind of forgot just how sparse that song is.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, I think it's a good word, the percussive bass.
It's very percussive.
And those horns don't do a lot of like swingy, wonky things. They're just there to keep that kind of pace and keep that mood going. And there's a little tappa snare, and that's about it. And outside of that, it's just that incredible voice.
Yeah.
Love that song. Good pick.
I love that song too.
All right. Anything else to say about Screamin' Jay?
No, I don't know anything about his history. I'm gonna leave that
Maybe.
up to you.
Me either, really. I probably should have looked into that before we did this. But,
I told myself, I was like, Phil's gonna know, like, the day they recorded every song and the whole history of the bands and blah, blah. And I was like, I should probably look a little bit of this up. And then I didn't do that at all. So,
good food for thought for future episodes.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something extra to talk about.
maybe.
All right, well, we'll go ahead with song number 3 here. This is ABC by the Jackson 5, my second pick.